Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't been uploading any videos for a long time because of the online classes and everything, but now it's the summer holidays, so I'm back and I'm doing another Beast Quest book review. In the past, when I did a Beast Quest book reviews, they were like season 22, series 22 or something like that. That was just because all of my other Beast Quest books were in some boxes and we were gonna shift houses, so I couldn't open them. I wasn't opening them. So, but now it's done. So this is book one of Beast Quest, series one, Ferno the Fire Dragon. So in the first few chapters of this book, lots of the main characters are introduced and the world is being set up, the world of Beast Quest. So this book starts with in the prologue you in the mountains where a knight called Calder the Brave is trying to find the protector of Avantia, called Ferno the Fire Dragon, one of the 6 protecting beasts of Avantia, and he senses that the beast is nearby, but he was unfortunately very right, because the mountain he was standing on was not a mountain, and it was the beast itself. Accompanying Calder is a page whose name is Edward, and unfortunately, the dragon, Ferno, flies away carrying Calder, and he is never seen again. After that, we cut to chapter 1, where we see Tom playing like a knight, acting like a knight with a poker as a sword in his hometown of Arena. Suddenly, Tom smelled smoke, and when he went to investigate, he found out that it was coming from a nearby field, and there's a fire going on there, and all of the crops, all of the wheat, had been burned to a black stubble. And there was a man there, presumably the farmer who worked there, and he asked Tom if he had seen anything, but Tom said that he hadn't seen a soul. So then the man told Tom to tell what had happened to his uncle, Uncle Henry. When Tom rushes to find his uncle, he runs into the village square and sees there was a lot of people there, and that they were talking about what was going on in the village, that there was no drinking water, the rivers were dry, and there was random fires everywhere. And then they decide to send someone to King Hugo, to ask for help, and Tom volunteers. At first everyone laughs and shrugs it off, and even Uncle Henry shrugs it off and says that the people will laugh at them for sending a child. But later Uncle Henry decides to give Tom a chance and lets him go to the castle to ask for help. After reaching the castle, Tom saw that there was a lot of people fleeing areas, and when he reached the castle itself, he was in the city, but when he reached the castle itself, he saw there was a long line of people. He ran past the line and tried to get into the castle, but a soldier stopped him and asked if he was there to see the king's clerk. He said no, and that he was there to talk to the king. And then when the soldier said that he needed to see the king's clerk first, Tom said that his village really needed help, and then some people from the line started telling him that they also needed help, and all of them in the line had also come to ask for help, and there was very bad things going on in the kingdom of Avantia. But Tom decides that he needed to help his village, and that he would he sneaked in, and thinking that he sneaked into the palace when a young boy with a scorched gauntlet in hand, which was holding a key, came and said to the gods that he was Calder the Brave's page, Edward. So then the gods let him in, and Tom also slips through the gates into the palace. And when he goes into the kitchen, the cook thinks that he is the new serving boy, and she tells him that there were 2 serving girls off sick, and he could take what little food they had in the palace to the king. And so he does that, and then he meets Wizard Aduro, but then the page Edward bursts into the room and says that Ferno the fire dragon had killed Calder the Brave, and Calder was no more. And everyone was shocked, and then the king said to his commanded his guards to escort everyone out of the room except the courtiers, Wizard Aduro himself, and of course Edward. So they do so, but Tom slips into the shadows. And when the king mentions that they would never be able to free the beasts of Avantia from Malvol's control, from Malvol's evil spell, he gasps aloud and he is caught. And then the king orders for him to be taken to the dungeon, but Wizard Aduro has other thoughts, and he asks the king if he knows who he is and if he can see the likeness. Then he shows the king through a magical fire, and the king realizes that Tom is the son of Taladon the Swift. And the king knew Taladon a long time ago, and Taladon had went missing, and Tom's mother had also died. So after that, so then the king orders for Tom to be released, and then he says, he orders everyone else, basically the courtiers and Edward, and most probably the guards, to leave the room and to leave Aduro, Tom, and himself alone. And then he explains to Tom, when they are alone, about how there was an evil wizard called Malvol who was corrupted. He was a normal man once, but he was corrupted by envy, and he wanted to control the beasts. And the beasts had to be kept a myth, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do their job of protecting the kingdom. But now they had gone rogue because Malvol was controlling each of them with an evil spell. So then Wizard Aduro shows the key which Edward had brought in the scorched gauntlet, and says that Ferno has a collar, a metal collar around his neck, and there's a little lock on it, and that is a magical lock. And so that's what was his driving Ferno mad, and and that key, it was a magical one, and it was the only thing that could free the dragon. But the key could only be used by a hero. And then the king says that Taladon had once served him, and he asked Tom if he will serve him too, and if he will take up the beast quest. And Tom readily agrees, and he's happy to serve his kingdom. The next morning, Tom wakes up in one of the castle's bedrooms, and then he doubts if he can actually succeed where Avantia's greatest knights have failed. But then Wizard Aduro comes in, and Wizard Aduro has the power to read minds. And he reads Tom's mind, and he says that in these strange times, anything is possible. And he gives Tom a sword and a shield. At first, Tom is a little bit disappointed because the shield was very plain and had nothing on it, and he remembered seeing knights using multicolored shields, but Aduro said that appearance could be deceiving. Then Aduro took Tom and to the stables and showed him his new horse, a jet black stallion named Storm. And he also gave Tom a map, a magical map, which when it was unfolded, it would pop up, and when Tom put his finger in like the ocean on the map, he removed his finger from the ocean, it would come out dripping wet. So then Tom, along with Storm, sets out on a journey. Then, when Tom and Storm reach the forest, three of the king's soldiers come bursting out, and then they're followed by a wolf who they are fighting and shooting at, but with their crossbows. And it is clear that the wolf, along with someone or something else, had stolen some of the king's food, a deer or something like that. So then they are going to kill the wolf, and one of them aims a crossbow bolt at the wolf, but Tom could not stay there and just look at that murder, and he threw his sword and cut the crossbow bolt, saving the wolf. And then Tom and the wolf fight off the soldiers because the soldiers think that Tom is another poacher. And then Tom and Silver run away. Okay, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have said Silver. That just came out of my mouth. Tom and the wolf ran away. The wolf showed Tom and Storm where to go, and he led it led them to a girl, and she was wary of Tom at first, but then when Silver, the wolf, whose name was Silver, okay, I revealed that too early, he went over to Tom and licked him, and then she relaxed, and she said that Silver can make great friends, and he never took someone bad as a friend. So basically she was implying that if Silver had a friend, that friend was good. And she said that her name was Elna, and she was living with her aunt and uncle. She had a bow and an arrow, and she said that she lived on the ocean's coast, but because the fish ran out, and there were like no fish left in the ocean for some reason, she came to the forest to start hunting, and she didn't know that the deer was supposed to be the king's. So then Tom says that he no. Elena says that her parents were dead and they died in a fire, and she rescued Silver when he was a cub wolf, and then the three soldiers return, and Tom and Elena both get onto Storm and run out of there, like gallop out of there because it's Storm. And then when Tom and Elna far away from the soldiers. They get off, and Elna says that Tom was wearing chainmail armor and he was too young to be a knight. So she asked him what he was doing, and he said that he knew that Ajuro had told him not to tell anyone of the quest, but he also knew that Ajuro had told him to trust his instincts and his instincts told him that there was something good about this girl, and that he could trust her. So then he tells her about his quest, and then she exclaims like that he is so young, but she also says that he's got courage and he's got the heart to do it, and then she says that she'll help him. And at first he's like, no, it's too dangerous, but she's just too insistent, and she says she knows that area and that she and Silver owed him for saving their lives from the soldiers. So then all four of them set off to the mountains, and on their way they find the river which is connecting to Erinal, the winding river, and not unfortunately, but they find out why it had dried up. There were a lot of stones there which were blocking off all of the water, and they figured that it was probably the dragon's doing. So then they head to the mountains where Ferno lived to confront him. Upon reaching there, however, they make the same mistake as Calder, but as a warning, their animals were straying away from one of the mountains. But when both of them climbed it, it turned out to be Ferno, but he hadn't revealed himself yet. But Tom understood that he was Ferno when he looked at the rocks of the mountain and saw that they were actually dragon scales. And then when he shouts for Elna to run, Ferno starts moving, and then Tom and Elna stand very still, but Ferno, what he did was the video got paused. So what happened was, what I said was that Silver jumped at Ferno to attack him, but he was quickly taken out by Ferno. Not killed, just knocked out. And then Elna ran to Silver's side, and Ferno noticed her and started charging up a fireball. But Tom, along with Storm, is able to shield Elna from the blast. But then Ferno just starts flying away. But Tom, on top of Storm, who's galloping at its full speed, jumps onto one of Ferno's wings and then makes his way slowly to Ferno's neck. And then he grabs onto the collar, and when he tries to unlock the collar with the key he has, he drops the key. But luckily Elna attaches the key to one of her arrows and shoots it back up at Tom's shield, and Tom is able to use that to free Ferno. But then he realizes that because the collar was gone, he was holding on to nothing but air. So, and he starts falling down, and he thinks this is the end, but the key in his hand, it slows his fall, and he lands on the ground safely. Then a Ajuro comes and says that, he doesn't come there, he comes in like a vision or something like that. Then he says he's still at the palace, but he's conjured himself like a portal, not a portal, but image of himself there, like a video. So he says that he's been watching their progress with a jewel he has with one of his powers, and that they had done a great job. But then Tom notices a scale on a tree, and Aduro says that that is a gift from Ferno, and you should attach it to your shield and it will protect you against fire. And he does that. Tom does that, and then he swears that he will not rest until Malvo is defeated and all of the good beasts in Avantia are saved. And that is basically the end of the book. I really like this book. I like how all the characters are introduced, and I really recommend you read it. So that's all for today. Bye.